Donald Trump has found yet another way to piss off the left, and this time he's doing it by deporting a violent criminal protester, right? Mahmoud Khalil, who of course is the organizer of these Columbia protests, where they actually went in, shut down the college, and occupied spaces. Well, guess what? He's here on a visa, and Donald Trump is going to revoke his visa and deport his butt back to where he came from, okay? But this has all the Democrats up in a tizzy because it's some type of violation of free speech or human rights or something like that, which of course we all know is a bunch of garbage. So let's go ahead and see Scott Jennings destroy the panel over on CNN over the same issue. But before we get to this clip, don't forget to like and comment on this video so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
He's a resident alien. He can be deported under U.S. law for if the Secretary of State has any reasonable ground to believe he would have a potentially serious adverse foreign policy consequence. And you mentioned the student organization. The student organization put out. Let me finish.
But before you move on, because I think that's a really important point, right? That's the statute that they're using.
Yeah.
Have you seen any evidence to suggest that there is actually a serious reason to believe that this student is going to be a threat to national security?
I mean, I've certainly watched the abomination that's gone on at Columbia and Barnard and other places, and I will just tell you,
to national security.
And I'll just tell you that
I'm not going to let you move on because this is the
I'll tell you why it's a threat to national security if you let me answer you.
Well, Scott,
do you want me to answer you or not?
Okay.
His organization says we are dedicated fighting for the total eradication of Western civilization.
Okay.
He's not a citizen. He doesn't need to be here.
No, you just described him having viewpoints that you disagree with. Again, is that enough to have someone lose their rights in this country?
He has viewpoints that, in my opinion, jeopardize the security of the United States.
But how?
He is obviously a radical who is here to foment.
No, he's not a radical at all.
Violence against the United States government.
He wants to destroy Western civilization. Against the United States government.
You're saying eradicate Western civilization doesn't make you a radical?
Has he acted in any way that is violence against the United States government, as you just said?
I think these protests and the violence they have fomented and the intimidation and fear against the Jewish kids on these campuses is absolutely an act of insurrection against the United States.
I don't think the American speech, Scott. That's enough.
Look, Look, what they have engaged in is a clear threat to the United States. And if you want the United States to be overrun by radicals the way Europe has, be my guest. But I think the president needs to stand up for the integrity of the United States.
What is the threat?
The threat of our country being and our college campuses being overrun by radicals who are trying to run Jewish kids off of campuses and anybody else who disagrees. Yes, they are. In UCLA.
No,
in UCLA.
First of all,
they wouldn't even let them go to class.
First of all, there were
Columbia's an abomination.
First of all, there were violent counter protests at UCLA that were done by Jewish organizations.
No, both sides. Anti-Semitism is a scourge on this country. Do not
absolutely
is that it is not clear that this particular student has engaged in the specific actions that he was talking about. And you've shown me no evidence of that either.
Okay, well, guess what? He is not a citizen. If he were a citizen, I might feel differently. He's a guest in this country.
Okay.
It's my view.
So in other words,
it's the Trump administration.
But it doesn't matter.
No, I didn't walk in here with my gumshoe investigative case, Abby. But here's what I do think. This guy's running an organization at Columbia that has ruined 2 solid years of people's lives.
Deported based on allegations that you have not substantiated.
I think he should be deported based on what the Trump administration has already identified. He is a threat to the national security.
Based on his affiliation.
Statute you quoted. It's an obscure statute, old statute that's being used, is about being against U.S. foreign policy, right? So, for example, when I was part of protests in Miami, when the Clinton administration and Janet Reno returned Elian Gonzalez to Cuba, is that...
Were you trying to eradicate Western civilization?
No, I was trying to stop the U.S. government, and I was protesting against what the U.S. government had done. I was
Were you occupying buildings?
I was protesting.
Were you fomenting violence?
I was doing what that...
Were you inciting others to engage in violence?
I was doing what that statute said.
Were you chasing
I was
people
against
around?
U.S. foreign policy.
Were you
at
intimidating
the time.
people?
Okay,
we were shutting down streets.
My view is that we're in a fight for the future of Western civilization. This guy's on the wrong side of it, and he don't need to be here.
And if the court...
In usual fashion, Scott Jennings is taking them to task, all right? And what the Democrats, the leftists on this panel don't seem to understand is, yes, in this country, we do have free speech. And if you're in this country, even illegally, all of our rights do apply to you, right? And we have to kind of say that because there's a reason we don't bring the terrorists actually into this country to try them. We keep them in Guantanamo Bay, etc., because we don't want the whole leftist machine of, oh, we got to help this poor person who is downtrodden, even though he committed a horrible act. We want to stop all of that and get them them tried outside of this country, okay? So we have to say that, yes, they do have the rights and privileges of people being in this country. However, this person is here on a visa. He's here because we're allowing him in, right? He is not a citizen. And of course, he's committing a crime by occupying buildings, by shutting down college campuses, by threatening students, all right? These are all crimes. And if we had someone here on a visa who was like, say, planning terrorist activity, someone who's here maybe a drug dealer, somebody who had started a criminal organization ring, we would have no qualms about kicking them out. But since this guy apparently just wants to overthrow Western civilization and is actively, violently protesting against this government, then yes, I say get rid of him. That is grounds for deportation, okay? And by the way, in our Constitution, it says you can peaceably assemble and protest. You cannot shut down the college campuses and threaten people, all right? This has been a horror show for the left. It's really exposed them for who they are and what they actually support. And I've been enjoying watching this whole thing because in all of these leftist bastions, of course, they love to watch their cities burn down around them. And I've just got my popcorn eating it. And what was particularly delectable was watching Ana Navarro have to stutter through all of her garbage, right? She was out there protesting the deportation of Elian Gonzalez, okay? And Scott Jennings like, were you being violent? Were you breaking the law? Were you inciting some type of insurrection? Okay. No, she wasn't, which is why, of course, you're allowed to protest in those instances. But this is completely different. Here we have a foreign actor. We know what his motivations are, and we know what he's actually doing. But the left simply won't accept it, and they won't stand for this some type of veiled racism that Donald Trump is committing against this Mahmoud Khalil. Okay. So either way, that was a wonderful clip to watch. And I love how Scott Jennings comes out in that same usual pattern and uses facts to destroy the panel. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and say hi to your mom for me.